Welcome back to the Blues Society weekly podcasts. I know that I'm kind of bad about getting these out weekly, but we got a really cool one that's coming up right now. The Blues Society is thrilled to be talking to Reddog and friends because they're going to be playing at Bands on the Beach coming up. I am Paul Stadden, your humble host, joined by none other than Reddog himself, one of the finest strat-picking players I ever did here. Welcome back to the Blues Society of Northwest Florida weekly podcast, Reddog.
Thank you, Paul. I appreciate the invite. Thanks so much.
Well, happy to have you here, man. Now, you got a cool show coming up here at Bands on the Beach. Tell me what the date is and what do people have to bring? Do they have to bring tickets or anything like that?
Number one, let me tell you the date. It's Tuesday, July 14th. It's going to be from 7 to 9 p.m. It's right out on the beach, and it's going to be a great night of music. There is no cover charge,
Nice.
Plenty of parking, and you bring your lawn chair, your beverages, and just make yourself comfortable. Feel free to bring your children, and we're going to have a great night of music.
Fantastic. I know that every time people come to Bands on the Beach, it is nothing but a great time, especially because they are really great at getting bands you can dance to, which makes me feel really good. So people need to be getting up and boogieing to Reddog and friends. Now, you're going to have kind of a cool lineup here. Let's talk about the guys you got playing with you, because it's not just a trio. You got a good number of people in this band.
Right, Paul. And, normally we are a trio, but since this is such a special occasion, we've got some friends coming to help us out. I got Spud
Nice.
Cottingham is going to be playing piano with us. Of course, Rick Oakes is playing drums with me, Roger Atcherton on bass. And we've got a couple friends that might stop out too and surprise some folks.
Like it.
It's just this time of year, it's so beautiful on the beach in the evening, and just the most idyllic setting. And so, we hope to see y'all.
Well, that's going to be a fantastic show. You guys always have a good, tight lineup as well, which is important. I know that you guys will always get it right the first take, because there are no takes when it's live, which is so great. Now, speaking of live playing, you guys have been playing at one of the most wonderful local restaurants for 5 years now. Where is it, and when's the next time you guys are going to be playing there?
Well, let me say this. First of all, we've been so fortunate. We're talking about the Five Sisters Blues Cafe that's downtown in Pensacola, not far from the baseball stadium. And it's on DeVillers, by the way, DeVillers Street. And we are so fortunate. We have been performing there since they opened the doors, which has been 5 years ago.
Nice.
They treat us like family and have great, great food. Their staff is just friendly and look after you. And so, once again, I've just been so fortunate to have steady work. And, it's so nice when I do my loading at the Five Sisters.
Yeah.
There's blues playing on the intercom. And when I go up to Villers Street, there's a beautiful sign that says something like, welcome to the blues, the
Yes.
Villers neighborhood.
Yes.
And, man, for a blues musician, I feel like I'm in the Wizard of Oz going up the road, the gold-plated road or whatever it is.
Nice. Well, it makes you feel good, makes you feel welcome, because I love seeing blues continuing and thriving in Pensacola. And look, as much as I love you guys, I'm not sure whether I love the chicken and waffles there more or whether I love your playing there more, but it's a very welcoming thing, and it's great for the blues community because we don't always get that, unfortunately. I feel like sometimes the blues as an art form kind of gets fractured between people who say it has to be this one specific thing, whether you have to have it be Delta blues or it has to be electric blues. How do you feel about where the art form is going, and do you like blues to be one specific thing, or do you like to pull in a bunch of different influences in the blues?
Once again, I love it when people, when they're playing any type of music, including blues, they're play from the heart. You hear a little you hear some sincerity in what they're doing. I hear somebody sing a song and it sounds like they've lived that life, like that is their life story. They suck me right in. And, that's kind of like when you hear B.B. King or Ray Charles when they're singing, man, you feel like it's a true story and you better pay attention.
Nice. Well, let's talk about your influences here real quick, because I know you got a lot of guitar influences, but who are some of your guys maybe that influenced you musically? They weren't necessarily a guitarist, but they still shape the way you play.
Yeah, well, I listen to so many players, but I have to say, when I love vocals, and so I love listening to Bobby Bland, Ray Charles, of course, B.B. King. I love Freddie King singing. When I hear Aretha Franklin sing, it doesn't get any better than that.
Yeah.
And man, they all affect my playing. My phrasing, melodies. Knowing when not to play and when to play, and that's what a vocalist does so good. They have that impeccable phrasing. And I listened to. We were talking about this a little earlier, Paul. I listen to a lot of jazz. I listen to a lot of rock. It's not just I am a blues player, and that's what I grew up listening to, and that's my forte. I know that's what I have to do or that's what I enjoy doing. That's where my strengths lie. But I grew up listening to John Coltrane. Man, I love McCoy Tyner. I love so many great piano players. Johnny Johnson that used to play in Chuck Berry's band, and so I listen to a lot of people, but when it comes time to entertain, then I'm dealing with some blues, and I know that's what I need to be doing.
Nice. Well, let's talk about playing here with the gear. You've got some really cool guitars that you play with, and the reason I ask is because we've been talking here about the musicians that you love that aren't necessarily guitarists, because it is all about phrasing and melody and how much the gear plays into that. Do you think that the gear makes the man or the man makes the gear?
Well, for sure, the man makes the gear. I mean, if you hear Stevie Ray, you can put a clunker guitar in his hands, and it doesn't make any difference. You're
still sound like Stevie.
That's exactly. But, I think every musician is on an endless search for good tone.
Yeah.
So it's not even like you have something and that's the end of the mission, man. You're always trying to get your voice to sound, whether it's your singing voice, your guitar voice, you're always trying to get that warm human quality to your tone. You want it to be fatter, warmer, all those things. You're hoping that when it reaches some listener in the audience that you can move them. And so you're always searching for that tone. And I think we once again, Paul, we had this conversation earlier. For some reason, a Fender Stratocaster is my voice, man. It's comfortable in my arms, and the one I have's had a rough life. And
tell me about it, man. Tell me about it.
I had a guitar. My Strat was sold to me as a parts guitar, and it had a broken neck on it.
Right.
And so we've brought it back to life, and it plays beautifully, and it's held together for a lot of years. It's been with me all over, a lot of nice places like Macon, Georgia, and Tennessee, and all these nice places, and it's just got some beautiful tone.
Oh, that's a vintage one, too, isn't it? That's like
it's a 62 reissue.
Oh, nice. Oh, that's got to feel nice and comfortable. That C neck on it. Oh, I love it.
Yeah, and when you look at it, it's kind of funny. I see it every day, so it just I don't notice anything about it. But when someone else looks at it for the first time, they look at it and go like, "Holy mackerel! Where has that guitar been?"
I've seen some miles, but that's okay because that guitar's got a story to it.
I'm over 100,000 miles on that guitar. I think that's the way they word that.
Nice. You got a little air freshener hanging off of it too.
Right.
Now you got another cool Strat though, and is it a Hamiltone? Because I love the old Stevie Ray Vaughan Hamiltone that he had in the '80s with that kind of weird banana headstock and his signature on the fingerboard. And yours looks a lot like that. Yeah,
and that's a gorgeous guitar Stevie's got, and man, it sounds so good. The guitar you're talking about is called a Flying Finn, and that Finn is Finn, and that guitar was manufactured in Finland by and there's a guitar company there, and we actually did a tour of Finland. We flew into Helsinki, went all the way to the Arctic Circle, and performed at a blues festival at the Arctic Circle in February. Let me tell you, I know what cold is now. Shoot. And but anyway, so that Flying Finn basically came from our tour and the generosity of the Flying Finn Guitar Company.
Cool.
And it is really a great guitar. It's got an ebony fretboard. It's got a hand-wound pickups that are just warm and got some nice tone. And to tell you the truth, it's kind of weird, Paul, that guitar, whenever I'm rehearsing at home, that guitar's in my hand. And then when I get on stage, my black Strat's in my hand.
The Strat gets in. I know. We all have those particular gear quirks about us. I know.
Yeah.
What amp are you playing through now?
I play through a Fender Pro Reverb, and that's a Fender amp that has two 12-inch speakers. It's an older silver face. It runs about 40 watts RMS.
Okay.
And
so mid-70s, probably?
You might be right. That's probably right. But it's just got some beautiful, beautiful tone, and I've definitely tricked it out a little bit, and so it'll talk to you sometime.
Sing. I like it. There's some, again, there's something about the gear that you have. The man does make the gear, but the gear does help a little bit.
It sure does.
It sure does. Well, speaking of gear and performing, when's the next time you're going to have a guitar in your hands in a recording studio?
Well, Paul, I got to tell you, that is my, I have this dream. And once again, I've been so fortunate to get up near Muscle Shoals and do some recording up there. And I hope to return there before too long. And that involves Johnny Sandlin that produced Greg Allman. He has been so kind to me. So I hope to get back in the studio with him and some session players from the Muscle Shoals area. And I will certainly keep you posted, but that's my dream. And man, it's just, I love the sound of the session players from Muscle Shoals. And if I can bring something up to you, we were talking. Netflix just came out with a great documentary, kind of a tribute to B.B. King.
Oh, nice.
And so hopefully, the listeners that hear this interview, if they get on Netflix, they'll do the search. I think it's Anyway, I'd love for you to check out the B.B. King, man. It's so good.
If you don't know who B.B. King is, first off, welcome to Earth. But you've got to see. I hate having to say it this way, but you can now see a documentary about the entire life of B.B. King. And that was one of the great shames of blues was B.B. I don't care that he was nearly 90 years old. I still feel like he had more music in him, an influence on every single guitarist everywhere. And you ever see him live?
Oh, many times. And, there's a reason they call him the King of the Blues.
Yeah.
Because he is the king of the blues. And not only such an incredible, incredible player, great songwriter. He's written so many classic tunes. And his voice was just angelic, man. Had this big gospel influence blues voice, and so incredible singer.
I saw him a couple of years ago when he came to the Sanger Theater here in Pensacola, and what blew me away was he could still sing like it was 1975. I could not believe it. Well, Red Dog, I really appreciate you coming in. Let's first off, how can people see video of you? How can they get a hold of you? Do you have an online presence, a Facebook page, a website people can go to?
Yeah, we do, and hopefully we'll put a little link on this interview, but I do have a nice website, a Facebook page. There are a few YouTube clips. Nice. I'd love for people to dial them up. Maybe after playing bands on the beach, July 14th, there might be a few more YouTube clips. But, there's nothing. I hope y'all will come see us live. Once again, come to the beach. It's going to be a beautiful evening. Nothing like watching the sunset on the Gulf of Mexico, hearing a good band up on stage, and it's going to be a beautiful evening.
It's going to be a fantastic evening. It's not just going to be a beautiful evening because you're going to get up and dance to some great, great guitar work. So please come see Red Dog and Friends, and we'll put this interview up on YouTube, Facebook. Share it around with your friends. Make sure that everybody knows about this show and knows about Red Dog and Friends. Thank you, Red Dog.
Thank you, Paul. Hey, can I say one other quick thing?
Of course you can, man. This is your interview, dude.
Oh, well, thank you. I have to say all the time that, there's a lot of founders of the blues that are so important to the blues world. And when I perform, I always like to say thank you because they made it possible. The people like Freddie King, Albert Collins, Ray Charles. And so my point is to say, when y'all get time, it's really nice if when you go to your local record store or CD store, man, purchase some Ray Charles, purchase some Albert Collins, some Dwayne Allman, the Allman Brothers, whoever it may be, and you're supporting that music, you're supporting their family, and once again, when I'm performing, I'm only I'm trying to pay a tribute to these folks because they made it all possible, man. And
exactly, support them by buying the music. Don't just copy it and share it, please. You can share this interview, but don't share the CDs unless you plan on buying them for all of your friends as well. All that money goes back to the artist. Don't forget that. So thank you, Red Dog. I appreciate you mentioning that. We always want to make sure that we support the blues here in Pensacola.
Thank you so much, Paul. Thank you for having me. One other quick thing we were going to say is that we are strong supporters of the Blues Society here in Pensacola. Our friend Michael Bounds is a president of the Blues Society. I believe every Monday night they have a little get-together, a jam down in Seville
Quarter, man.
And it's a magical night. A lot of players that are just getting their feet wet. They haven't been playing a long time. It's a great opportunity for them to network with other players. And if you go out on a Monday night to the Blues Society, you are supporting them. And they have a website also. They do so much. They take a band to the International Blues Challenge every year in Memphis.
Which you played in 2010, I believe.
Yeah,
you?
we went up there. We had a great time. I saw so many old friends from Georgia, Texas, everywhere. But once again, having a Blues Society here in Pensacola really makes a big difference for everybody. And I cannot tell you sometimes in the background what they are doing to get blues bands on some major stages in this city. Cooperating with Pensacola government and you know, another thing I was going to say too, Blue Angel Music. They have been instrumental in supporting the local music, getting some music down on the at the baseball stadium, Blues on the Bay, and so we have really had some support from some local retail merchants that have helped a lot of musicians out here locally.
Absolutely, they have. And I will say this about Blues Angel Music. They have most of my paychecks because I've bought so much gear over the years at Blues Angel Music. Let me tell you, Reddog and Friends, make sure you look them on Facebook. Reddog is all one word, Reddog, and Friends. Make sure you look him up on Google as well. Go to his website. Share his website around. Share this interview around. You know, this interview isn't even over, and already I'm telling you to share it. So make sure that you tell your friends about the blues because ain't nobody don't like the blues.
You know, it's good for your soul, man. It makes you feel good. And, you know, I heard Stevie Ray say that the blues is a healing power. It makes you feel a little bit better.
It is. Albert King said, blues power, man. I'm just going to leave it right there. Blues
Amen.
Power.
Amen.
Amen. Amen. Thank you, Red Dog. We'll catch you at
Paul.
Bands on the Beach on the 14th. Everybody go see Red Dog and Friends at the Bands on the Beach on the 14th, starting at 7 p.m.
Woo! All right, man. Thank you so much, Paul, for the invite.
Thank you, Red Dog.